YouTube, it's Shells of the Destroyer, and we're gonna watch the Best of Anime 2024 with Gigguk. And I have very strong feelings. So grab your snackies, grab your bevies, let me know what you're eating or drinking down below. Let's get to watching. My feelings for the best anime is Apothecary Diaries, and I will die on that hill. Anyway.
2024 has come and seemingly gone as soon as it began. It was certainly a busy year for global events, and I wouldn't blame you for just wanting to shut off the world and put on some anime. And thankfully, this year, anime came to play.
Also, I still haven't watched the last episode of Dandadan. I don't have an excuse.
Anime just keeps continuing to soar in popularity for the better and for the worse. I still am getting used to how much of a global phenomenon it's become. School friends who never had any interest in animation will hit me up telling me they saw Dandadan. People who had never heard of a
My sister, who has never liked anime, suddenly randomly getting into it this year. Or last year, I should say.
Crunchyroll will casually talk about discovering this random Japanese show on Netflix. My parents watched anime this year. The idea of being a pure anime fan feels like it's slowly getting phased out as anime just becomes another part of pop culture. But for those of us who still wear that mantle, what else was happening this year? For about 2 weeks, our community became obsessed with Deers, with the release of a song you'd last about 10 seconds in before realizing,
Ladies and gentlemen, I think my brain just committed suicide.
After years of waiting, it looked like we were finally getting the first great Junji Ito adaptation. Uzumaki came out and smashed the curse by giving us an anime that did justice to his horrifying art. It was
for like one episode. What the fuck was that? I just heard something weird. Anyway.
Disturbing. It was unnerving. This is it. The run that's going to change everything. We're gonna do it! And there comes episode 2. Free run became a cultural phenomenon, popularizing the phrase, that's what Himmel the hero would have done. Inspiring people so much that someone quoted him after stopping a real knife attack, in a rare case of a free run fan doing something outside of posting Yubel's armpits. Demon Slayer laid the groundwork for its final arc by having his big bad Muzan take 5 business.
I swear to God, if Frieren and Apothecary Diaries had come out on different freaking seasons, Apothecary Diaries would have been #1 that season. I have feelings about it because to me, and like people are going to argue this, and it's fine. Okay, you can like Frieren, you can have completely different feelings about Frieren than I do. For me, Frieren is just really melancholy and kind of sad. Like, I don't know. Maybe I put myself in the situation too much and I'm like, oh man, I would be super depressed and sad if I was in this situation. I don't know, but it is super melancholy and sad to me, and I couldn't watch more than I got through like 4 episodes of it and was like, I'm already kind of like in a low place and I can't watch more of this. Like, it is just making me sadder. Like, I just, like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit that. But, like, I'm just like, no. I can understand why people like it. It looks gorgeous. Some of the clips that I've seen that are not the sad clips, baller. But when you're watching it, it's just kind of sad. To me. And, like, it's okay if you don't agree with that. And it's okay if you like it, of course, obviously. But that's just me personally.
Days to walk to his destination. Fans seem
It's gonna be my One Piece opening video. Yeah, that's fine. People can come after me in the comments. It's fine. It is a piece of media. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. Those are just mine.
to be split on whether this scene was pure badassery or just over the top silly. I'm just saying, if they really wanted their villain to have unmatched aura, they should have just fully committed.
Also, I'm sorry, I keep interrupting. Everyone keeps telling me, okay, you've gotten past the saddest part, now it gets better. And I'm just kind of like, I have like this policy, if I'm going to try like an anime, I should get hooked in the first 3 episodes. That's me, just personally. Again, I watched 4. I watched 4 episodes, and it just made me horrendously sad. And like, I know there's like jokes about it because like, oh, she's very old, but like, I'm like, this is a bummer. Like, a lot of this is just a bummer. She's probably going to continuously talk about her past. Like, and like, there's just gonna be like this tone of melancholy to it, right? Like, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't.
To the Bollywood way of introducing their characters. It felt like a truck full of massive manga came to the end of their serialization, which included 2 mega hits in My Hero Academia and Jujutsu Kaisen. I didn't read them, but I can say from experience that historically speaking, when a long-running massive Shonen Jump manga ends, it's almost always met with unanimous praise and support, and this was...
Sure.
no different.
I think my brain just committed suicide.
Isekai became an official word in the Oxford English Dictionary, giving legitimacy to all the isekai trashmen out there. Following the news, the search was officially started to find exactly who Truck-kun's British cousin would be. Here he is now. And last, but certainly not least, we lost a legend this year in Akira Toriyama. I tried writing a longer segment for this, but nothing I wrote felt like it did justice to this man's legacy, so I'm gonna keep it short. He may not have been the mangaka that influenced me the most, but he is the mangaka that influenced the most people around the world. He inspired a generation of people, and his work will continue to inspire for many generations to come.
I need to explain something. So, like, now we're living in, like, a world where, like, anime is very accessible. It is very kind of, like, almost mainstream. It is on... Pick a streaming platform, there's probably anime on it, right? Back in the day, the only way you could watch anime was on cable TV, like, from like 3 to what? Like 3 to 6 or some shit? I don't know. Like on like Toonami or whatever. Okay. So when I say the amount of conversations I have had with random dude bros while I was in like college or whatever, who didn't know what anime is, and then when I was like Dragon Ball Z, they would be like, I love Dragon Ball Z! Like, Dragon Ball Z broke through barriers. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. When I zoom out, I get small, I noticed. Okay. Just gonna... Anyway. Broke through motherfucking barriers, okay? Way back when. I say way back when, it wasn't that long ago. But still, pre-anime being on every streaming service.
And for that, what more can you say but thank you? This was a weird year to try and distill down when picking my best anime. To avoid any confusions, these videos aren't just...
It's called Apothecary Diaries. I will say Dandadan was very good. So, like, you know, Dandadan also super great and probably more interesting to more people than Apothecary Diaries. Watch Apothecary Diaries, please. Season 2 is currently out. I'm watching it. Please watch it. It's so good. I love it so much.
Meant to be a definitive shortlist of my favorites, but it's my favorites that I want to passionately share and talk about with you guys, and normally that's the vast majority. But it turns out that a lot of my favorite shows this year I don't have more than like 2 sentences to say, mainly because many of them have very recently been on previous year's list and they just continued doing what they were doing so well. So for the first time it felt right just to do some quick honorable mentions for the shows that helped define my year, even if I don't have much new to say. But before we get to that, I want to have a quick word about today's sponsor, Honkai Star Rail. A free-to-play sci-fi RPG from Hoyoverse with some of the most iconic characters they've ever made, such as Restless Vagrant. You idiots. We'll just steal off the miners. And right now, a massive update is about to drop because somehow it's already been a year since Penacony and a whole new world is coming. Amphorius is finally dropping as the new stop for the Trailblazers with new quests, areas, and mechanics. And I am pumped because as someone who loved the Penacony arc, this looks like it's going to be living up to that insane quality. We've even been told that this time
I like
it's
the
going
giant
to have
sword
a
in the
heartwarming
sky.
story. A heartwarming story. I see no reason to doubt you, Hoyoverse. Of course, there's going to be new 5-star characters dropping too, starting with the Herta. Wait, Herta?
Hi?
The sassy lost tsundere of Star Rail? How the hell was she a 5-star now? Damn! Yes, the queen is here to take her crown, complete with her 5-star upgrade. But that's
I've been told that I would probably like Honkai more than I like Genshin. To be fair, my issue with Genshin is I put it down for over a year, and then when I got back to it, so many changes had happened. I didn't understand what I was doing. I couldn't remember how to play, and also I was in Inazuma, which everyone complains the difficulty ramp is stupid bad on that one, so.
That's not all, because she's going to be joined by Aglia, a new 5-star lightning Greek beauty. But I know why you're really here. You don't care about me. You just want free stuff, don't you? Don't you? Well,
Why?
right now there is
Why was that like
beauty. But I know why you're really here. You don't care about.
What did you do to this? What this is? It's like a picture that you've. What is this?
You just want free stuff, don't you? Don't you? Well, right now there is a free 5-star selection event that will last until version 3.2. But wait, there's more. By just logging in for 7 days, you can also get a free 10 pull. What, not enough? All right, a little greedy, aren't we? Well, here you go. Use the code on screen right now for 50 free Stellar Jades. There. Are you happy? Works every time. So, what are you waiting for?
Okay.
Click that link in the description to download Honkai Star Rail today. Thank you very much to Hoyoverse for sponsoring me today, and with that said, here are some of the honorable mentions. I actually really enjoyed this season of Oshinoko, maybe even more than the first season. This year, we shifted gears to spotlight the Japanese theater, resulting in some of the best episodes we've seen in the entire series, with some insane direction at times that truly made you feel like you were living an authentic theater experience.
Turn it off.
I'm kind of starting to think that this show is at its best when Aqua isn't the main focus and when it can highlight other people's emotional journey through the world of entertainment. There was some fantastic character writing here, and now that the manga has come to an end, I'm sure we all have a lot to look forward to in future seasons.
I think my brain just committed.
Mushoku Tensei diabolically dropped one of its best ever
So many things ended this year, I feel.
episodes on Father's Day, then preceded it in the most Mushoku Tensei style possible, leaving me with some mixed feelings. Not so much with the developments, but more in the manner in which it was executed. For a series that historically has had no problem spending as much time as it needs exploring the complexities of human emotions, this one felt a bit out of sync. I still enjoyed it, but for the first time it left a bitter aftertaste in my mouth, and I'm not talking about whatever Roxy's been drinking. It was a delight to see the wacky chemistry between the Konosuba cast has not gotten boring at all. Demon Slayer was a
good.
10 out of 10 for one episode. Before that, it was the
For one, oh man, one episode.
weakest season so far, shown by the fact that IGN gave it a 3 out of 10 and didn't set the internet on fire. Even I think that's a little low, because surely this moment alone should bring it up a bit. Then there were the two juggernauts of last year,
Yes!
Diaries and Freeren, continuing their amazing run from 2023 to 2024. I introduced my mum to Apothecary Diaries this year, thinking it'll occupy her for a good week, and I thought I liked watching anime until I walked in one day later and she looks at me in the eyes and goes, "It's done." That was
Y'all. My sister, okay, I mentioned my sister. I keep mentioning my sister because my sister we are not the same person remotely. She has known that I've been into anime since I was like 12 or something. I don't know. She's older than me. She has never cared ever about anime. She's never liked it. She's watched like some of it here or there, like she might have watched over my shoulder. She's never been interested in all this other stuff, right? She has 3 kids. She apparently was like just kind of standing and watching what her kids were watching, and she was like, wait a minute, this has a lot of plot to it. Like, I have no idea what she was watching. And so then she starts like looking around and looking at stuff, and she watched like the live action One Piece on Netflix, and like she watched like some random stuff that was on Netflix, and she comes back to me and she's like, hey, so like I'm kind of into anime now, like I'm kind of like watching anime. Do you have any suggestions? And so like, you know, I gave her some suggestions, and I was like, my favorite currently right now is Apothecary Diaries. You can watch it on Crunchyroll. she went and she got a Crunchyroll account. And like a little while later, she was like, "Oh my God, Apothecary Diaries is so good." And I was like, "I knew it. I told you. Yes." It's so good. I love it. It is my favorite anime right now. It's so good.
was too short. It was at this point I realized no matter how powerful I think I am, I can.
Hold on.
That was too short. Until I walked in one day later and she looks at me in the eyes and goes, "It's done." That was too short. It was at this point I realized no matter how
Season
powerful
2,
I think I am,
baby.
I can never hope to match the power level of Asian mums watching their soap operas. And while I preferred the first half of Freerun that aired last year, it still continued to be a stellar show, tournament arc and all. I know everyone's thirsting over this green-haired girl, but I gotta say, the old man won my heart. A mage of principle and respect, reminding us that you may be out of manner, but you ain't out of hands. Showing the young'uns how to truly pound people up. No diddy. Make no mistake.
No diddy.
This was a simple one-sentence list. Both of these shows would have easily ended up in my top 5. And on the other end of the spectrum, there were other returning shows like My Hero Academia. My Hero Academia was once the golden child of shonen, carrying on the torch to a new generation of anime fans to a post-Big 3 era. People loved it. People couldn't stop talking about it. Then one day, it felt like everyone woke up and just went, "Yo, this shit boring." My Hero became the punching bag of jokes, while other titles rose up and grabbed the spotlight. And as time went on, it felt like those jokes turned into complaints, and then eventually those complaints turned into indifference. And
I feel like with I'm so sorry. I feel like with My Hero, it just kind of dragged on. Kind of. I don't know. That could be me. I did fall off reading it for a while, and I fell off reading it after a major event happened. Like, a major event happened, was not resolved, and I was like, I kind of fell off because, again, I'm the worst about keeping up to date with things that release on like a weekly basis or whatever. Like, I prefer marathoning things. That includes reading. So like, I just felt like I was just like, oh, okay. How are we raising the bar this week? How are we raising the bar now? Oh, there's a new organization. Oh, there's a new villain. Oh, they're still gonna go back to the main villain. Okay. But like, I mean, it was a good story. I think it was a good shonen, but it did feel like it dragged. Sorry, I had a lot of filler and had long breaks between seasons, or felt like it, so it was easy to fall off. I mean, and it did take a darker turn, which I think is fine for shonen anime. There's definitely a thing where there's like the lighthearted part of shonen anime and then the more darker or more serious part of shonen anime. And good shonen has a good balance of both. But it really just kind of felt like, okay, we're ramping up and 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 we're ramping up. And then there's like a part where like it is only darkness ramping up. And it's just like, okay, again, that's fine. But I don't know. It just kind of like felt a little bit like almost rinse and repeat situations. I don't know.
while it felt like many people had given up on it, I quietly continued watching in hopes that one day it would remind me of why I loved the series in the first place. And this year, I remembered what it felt like to go plus fucking ultra.
I will say the animation for it is really good, mostly. Like, specifically the fights, like the animation for it's great. They put a lot of work into it.
feels like in the modern age of action shonen, a lot of us have forgotten the beating heart of what My Hero Academia truly excelled at. Its amazing attention to detail in its character writing and development. This is what has shined in these latest seasons, and on that playing field, only a few of its competitors can compete. However, if you come into this as another battle shonen anime, you can definitely feel it being left behind when compared to the plethora of modern action spectacles its contemporaries have been showing us. Take this fight. We have Fireman versus Ice Boy and friends. It's a 1 versus many brawl. Fireman blasts them with a super hot fire, immediately rendering the team useless, and punches Ice Boy, but Ice Boy has a technique that neutralizes his fire, because, you know, he's actually half fire, half ice, and then punches Fireman. But then Fireman brings out fire that's even hotter than his previous fire, so Ice Boy brings out his ultimate technique, an even colder super duper ice punch. It was at this point I realized I'm not watching an active brawl. I'm watching a turn-based battle on autoplay. I know this sounds like complaints, but this is all to say that if you are able to get past all that, when you can focus on its strengths, when you see all these character storylines collide, it is able to go places few other shonen action shows are able to, and this season was a non-stop barrage of that. Endeavor facing the mistakes of his parenting, Todoroki coming to terms with his family trauma, Bakugo turned into a sympathetic boy, Ochiko proves she's more than just a good girl, Himiko proving she's more than just a crazy girl, Deku stop listening to My Chemical Romance, All Might, Orcs, Dabi, Ida. There may be hype seeing Gentle again. Gentle? Fucking what? This almost didn't feel like an action show. This felt like an epic soap opera where coincidentally people solve their conflicts by punching each other. It may not be doing what shonen action does best, but it is doing what My Hero Academia does best. Now approaching the finish line to its legacy,
I could
felt like
believe
My
that.
Hero has stood up for one last hurrah as it looked me dead in the eye and said, "Don't worry, kid." Sometimes you come across a show that gives absolutely zero fucks and condenses its entire being into achieving one objective, having
Hell yeah.
fun. That is Brave Bang Bravern. This is what happens when you
Nice.
take the over-the-top ridiculous hype of Gurren Lagann, add a bit of tokusatsu, and crash land it into the manly bravado world of Top Gun.
Oh my
About as
god.
great as it too. It is a non-stop, glorious celebration of the best parts you can find in the mecha genre, then throws logic out the window and amps everything up to 11. Cheesy speeches, fusion scenes.
I got a question. About mech anime. As someone who I have not physically watched a lot of anime at this point. I tend to read manga more than I watch anime now. But I do like a good mech anime. I've not watched this one, but I got a question. What do you mean I stop at a gaping hole waiting to be pegged? Ray. The fuck? Jesus Christ. Why does every mech anime have naked space? Like, why is that a thing? Why is naked space a thing in every mech anime?
Old school theme songs that will grow your beard 5 inches. It takes all of them, then proudly throws them in your face. Oh, what was that? Yes, because you know what? Subtext is for cowards.
Each time he yanked my control stick up and down. I need to watch this. Oh my god. Was this not just made for me and I missed out? What? Oh my god.
It doesn't care if you get it or not because it's here to do its own thing. If you ask, why does a mecha have a function where it plays its theme song and projects its own background screen? Why is the US military trying to waterboard a giant robot? Why does the protagonist have karaoke subtitles so he can nail the speech during heroic moments? It'll look at you dead in the eye and say, fuck you because this is Bravern. BRAVGWBGWBBWGGGGWBBW. What does that spell? It's a treat when you watch a show where you can tell every single person working on it was having a blast, and you get infected with that same joy. This is the shitpost of mecha, the YouTube poop of super robots. Forget a no bullshit show, this is an all bullshit show and is damn proud of it. It's a show that fully commits to hitting every single emotional beat it needs to, then takes one
That's
step
why
back
it
and
looks a
laughs at
little
itself.
cringe sometimes.
Come on, wake up! こんな時だったのにお盛んだな。
バカね。私たちもでしょ。
So someone's dying in the other room, but I can see why you would think that.
If you're still unsure about the appeal of mecha, if you're unsure of what makes super robots great, give this one a watch. This isn't just a love letter to the mecha genre, this will make you fall in love with mecha. You know, figuratively speaking. Here? No. Here? No. Just hear me out. No, 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 no.
If you're brave enough.
Like many other people, watching anime can be my escape from reality, a place where you can enter a whole new world with stories that have absolutely no relation to the life you're living right now. So, what could be further from reality
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm a cartoon cat girl on the internet.
than a sci-fi show about alien invaders and the end of the world itself? It's
Are
the
those babies
dreariest
falling from
apocalypse
the
of all
sky?
time, where the world is going through an unprecedented global event. Misinformation, conspiracy theories, and finger-pointing have spread like wildfire on social media. Friendships are lost on where people stand with the issue of these aliens. Protests begin. Public trust is at an all-time low. The only thing that everyone can agree on is that nobody can agree on what to do next. Politicians prioritize the economy over anything
This sure is an art style.
else. More and more it feels like there isn't a single competent person left in a position of power, and in between all that, the series asks, what does it feel like to be a teenager? Trying your best to grasp a sense of normalcy after living through major historical event after major historical event. This was the realist anime of 2024. Dead demons. Destructions takes a different approach to the First Contact story. This isn't about an invasion. This isn't about communication. This is about people feeling absolutely lost, trying to cope with a world that seems to be crumbling around them. It's a cynical, biting look at life that sometimes felt a little bit too uncomfortably reminiscent to reality, showing us that even during an apocalypse, life has to and will go on. But there is hope, cause even during a chaotic time with aliens, spaceships, and sci-fi laser weapons, only then can the true heroes of society emerge.
お前もそろそろしっかりしてほしいよ。
父さん、SNS にはびこる私意識高いですアピールを繰り返す勘違い野郎を探し出し、心霊写真をポストし続けなきゃならないのだからな。
Ah, he's finally here. Biblically accurate Twitter blue checkmark user.
Wow. Oh, wow. Ayo.
When the last season of ReZero came out, I looked like this. When the first season of ReZero came out, I looked like this. When ReZero was being written, I looked like this. It's insane to think that this show first blasting onto the scene, taking over the anime community was over 8 years ago. ReZero
I understand. Okay. Sorry. So I understand that things get put on like a schedule with like animation companies and studios, right? Like I understand that. The amount of time between each season of ReZero is so long that for me, I lose interest. I never watched the second season because it took so long to come out after the first season, and I don't remember things well. So I was like, cool, I don't want to put in the time to rewatch the entire first season because there's definitely going to be things that I don't remember. Just to watch the second season that came out significantly later. And then, like, again, the third season came out, like, significantly later than the second one. You know, like, I understand. But I feel like it's taking too long. Like, just for me personally. And it's not even just anime that does this. A lot of things will do this. I'm one of those people that discovers shows late because people are screaming about the third season coming out. So I'm like, oh, I guess this is good. I guess I'll start watching like the first season of it and see if I like it. So that's kind of what I end up doing. a lot just because I don't pay attention to a lot of like when shows are coming out sort of stuff, if that makes sense. So like I'll discover something quote unquote late just for it to get canceled later, but still I'll discover something late, which is great for me and how I watch things, which is marathoning, but like still. Any news is prepping for season X for ReZero if you want to watch it. I feel like it's too late, to be honest. It's been like 8 years.
Hero fans have been surviving eating at scraps, but this year we got the start of an all-you-can-eat buffet with its return. They brought everyone back for this one. Amelia, Krush, Felt, Anastasia, Priscilla, Subaru's newly acquired sassy Pokemon, Reinhardt, Julius, them, Let Me Solo Her, even Rem fans were eating this season. If you were one of the people that thought Season 2 was a little slow in plot progression, Season 3 went, don't worry, I hear you, and started off by dropping a nuke on itself. This was a no bullshit, non-stop barrage of chaos. When you thought the situation couldn't get any worse, it does. Just when Subaru learned to value his own life and make an oath not to rely on the return by death mechanic, this pushed that commitment to the absolute limit. One thing goes wrong, then two. Before he can even put out one fire, 10 more pop up. There reaches several parts where you think this is the point of no return, only for the series to hold and keep holding. Then it holds for another whole episode until you want to scream, please Subaru, there is no dishonor in typing FF15. This show has never been shy of introducing wacky, eccentric villains, and yet even this season had me going, good lord ReZero, as I jizz and breathe. Forget introducing one villain at a time, let's introduce them all from the entire spectrum of crazy and deranged to others so despicable, I genuinely hope every time he pees it goes off in 2 streams and they both miss the toilet. They were introducing so many surprise villains, I was expecting one of the episodes to end like,
I was completely wrong, wasn't I? I had the dates wrong all this time. Diddy, come on out.
this was the action-packed season many of us asked for. And the real difference is just seeing how much Subaru is stepping up to the plate. It's been an absolute pleasure to see how much this is not the same Subaru we all recognized from the beginning. And now the dominoes are set up for him to knock them down in the most emphatic way possible in this arc's conclusion in 2025. And you bet your ass I'm gonna be there.
Question, is the next season of it the end? Is that what he's saying? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch all of it then. Nope. Okay, never mind then.
In the world of anime, there's no place more brutal, more more bloody than the romance genre. Girls duke it out in the battlefield of the protagonist's heart. Tears are shed, hearts are broken, blood, protein is spilled. But as we all know, there can only be 1, 2, 100.
Protein. I don't know if that was a word I need in my vocabulary. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. I don't know.
Zero winners, while the losers are there just left to rot. But this year, too many losing heroines saw all that and went, you know, just because a girl lost doesn't mean she wasn't best girl in the show. And anime girls with short blue hair deserve to be the main heroine for once. And cute tomboys and awkwardly shy chicks deserve their time in the spotlight too.
Okay.
And I want a little sister who's way too overprotective and calls me your Nii-chan because I love my little sisters.
Judgment.
Too many losing heroines was the answer to all of that. It looked at romance anime and said, I'm tired of this single elimination bullshit. Where the hell is my losers bracket? And losers is all we see. 1, 2, 3 girls, all rejected by the man they love, coming together to form enough copium to rival the average Man United fan. We've seen romance anime where a girl loses, accepts her defeat, and that's the end of it. But this asked, what kind of reaction do we get after that point? Yahoo! This was the greatest hits montage of the saddest and funniest coping mechanisms people can find themselves when they're just in their lowest points. It's messy, it's emotional, it's sometimes just hilariously pathetic, and in between all of them is the victim of their non-consensual trauma dump. When I first saw this setup, I thought I had the show all figured out. Oh, here we go again. A laid-back, reserved guy paired with some loud, energetic, Genki anime girl. Wow, that's a trope I've never seen before. But as you watch, it doesn't play out how you think. The trigger never gets pulled, the patented anime blush scene never happens, and all we're left with is a guy forming a real friendship by just letting these girls feel like they don't have to deal with all of this alone. Too Many Losing Heroines was a different kind of rom-com.
Why does a school uniform have the girls with like 4 bow ties? I thought it was just her being quirky, but another girl has that too. This isn't important. Okay.
In a highly competitive year full of them. There's a genuine sense of community with the cast as you're able to laugh with them at their highest points and really feel for them at their lowest. It's a show that knows when to laugh at itself and when to take itself 100% seriously, selling you on all these emotions. Anger, emptiness, denial, that knee-jerk conclusion that you just lack any self-worth, all in its 12-episode run. Losing Heroines was a...
This is a weird thing I'm about to say. I feel like I've been too empathetic lately, which is probably something people don't usually say, but like it's holding me back, if that makes any sense, because I'm gonna like looking at this, I'm like, this is gonna make me cry. And I don't want to cry right now, you know? Like, I got enough stressors. I'm a frustrated crier, by the way. So, and I'm very frustrated lately. So, like, I'm like, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for this right now. Like, you know? And,
different kind of rom-com in a highly competitive year full of them. And I say this as someone...
Which is upsetting because, like, it's not really upsetting. Well, yeah, it's kind of. So, because, like, stuff that makes you feel an emotion is good. Like, that it's good content. I'm just kind of like, I don't have the emotional bandwidth for this right now. Because I got a lot going on. So, like, I feel like I've been watching less anime because, like, some of the stuff that's coming out, I'm just like, oh, it's going to be sad. I don't know.
One who's just not as interested in high school romance shows anymore. As a 34-year-old married man, there is just far less for me to relate to nowadays. Even if a show is decent, any school romance is going to have a hard time getting on my list. It can't just be good. It can't just be great. It's gotta be bloody fantastic.
Oh, okay. The danger's in my heart.
Romance anime has an epidemic. I don't know.
Give me more Yamada-kun. Okay, give me more Yamada-kun. I don't care. Give me Yamada-kun. I love Yamada-kun.
I don't know when it started, but it felt like I woke up one day and 90% of them collectively agreed to do exactly the same thing. Let's just make a guilt-free, comfy show with minimal conflict, drama, and progression, showing daily interactions of some shy guy and a girl. Except the girl has the thing. You know what I mean? The thing. Maybe she communicates in Russian. Maybe she's just legally fucking blind. Maybe the thing is that she has undiagnosed schizophrenia.
Here, let me get this for you.
Rooster, thanks for the 10 gifted subs. What's going on? Welcome. How's it going? Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome.
This all come from? Some call this an offshoot of the teasing genre, some call it comfort romances, and some call it bait for lonely dudes who get no bitches and stack no paper. With how much this is all blending together, I'm starting to call this shit the isekai of the romance genre. And now I'm doubly convinced I'm never going to be able to look at one of these shows the same ever again because the dangers in my heart completely blows all of them out the water. No hooks. No
Here, let me get this for you.
Ray, thank you for the gifted sub. Crazy. Thank you guys.
It was just the purest depiction I've ever seen in anime of two people falling in love. Now, a wise man once said, I think love is just like cringe.
Here, let me get this for you.
Bottle of Bell, thank you for the gifted subs. You guys like what? You guys trying to outdo what's happening? Thank you so much, guys. You're being so kind today. I appreciate you. Subway. Thank you so much.
Here, let me get this for you.
Zab, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. I appreciate it. Bless y'all's heart. Y'all so giving. Appreciate it.
We can do some cringe-ass shit when we think we're in love. It's that winky face you sent to that person once that keeps you up at night wondering why you thought it was a good idea. It's that corny shit we clowned on in love songs, but secretly you wanted to feel just once. It's that dumbass joke you nervously blurted out in front of them that had everyone looking at you funny and made you want to crawl in a corner and just disappear, but it didn't.
You know what I cannot deal with, really? Like I mentioned, like, oh, like empathy, sadness, whatever. I cannot deal with secondhand embarrassment. Oh, I hate that shit. I hate secondhand embarrassment shit. Like, oh, it hurts. It hurts. You know? It's not embarrassing of a show. That's fine, but like, I don't like the way he's explaining it. I know what it's about, but like, I don't. It's hurting me. It's hurting me. The things he's saying.
Fucking matter when you
We've all had a cringe phase. If you have not had a cringe phase, maybe you're in your cringe phase right the fuck now, and you'll look back on it and realize it later. We've all had a cringe phase, all right? I don't want to think about it.
that they were the only one that laughed. That is the dangers in my heart.
Here, let me
this isn't about
get
the
this for you.
chase.
Right, thanks for the gifted sub.
It's not about the will they, won't they. It's about two people slowly discovering a form of comfort that only the other person can provide. Not just someone that fills that hole of companionship, but the one person who can break down that bullshit barrier you put around yourself and accepts you for that person you're scared to show the outside world. Here are two people just genuinely becoming the best versions of themselves when they're with each other, and God, isn't that what it's all about? This didn't feel like some crush. This didn't feel like some contrived anime love story. This is romance in its purest fucking form and a reminder of what falling in love should feel like. In the race of modern great romance anime, you've heard of Kaguya-sama Love is War? Well, get ready for Yamada-kun Love is Cringe.
Love is cringe. I just wanted Hype Train 5, don't mind me.
Girls Band Cry has girls in a band that
cry. I don't love the CGI, I'm being honest.
Anime is not new to the girl rock band concept. It all started in 2009 with Girls Band Chai. 2 years ago saw the uprising of the highly beloved Girls Band Shy, even tangentially in shows like Angel Beats that gave us Girls Band Die. We know what dynamic to expect. Cute girls doing cute things, chasing their dreams, trying hard while having a jolly good time making new friends, and look how adorable they are when they interact with each other. And then there's Girls Band Cry.
Oh, they fighting? This seems stressful. What the?
These aren't your pristine, perfect idol girls. They argue, talk shit to each other, throw tantrums. Our main girl Nina has a public outburst, gets told to be quiet, and calmly responds by throwing a fucking lamp at him. Nina is your average New Yorker. But it's this brutal honesty with
Oh my god. I didn't expect that.
each other that makes this show feel so real. Their friendship seems so genuine. The drama is not some cutesy nothing burger. Every person is carrying some trauma, a character flaw they live with. These girls act like girls. They can come off as childish. They can make naive decisions on their journey, and they, get this, do not get rewarded for it. This is no fairy tale, no idealistic story about chasing your dreams. This is a down-to-earth look at the harsh reality of staying true to yourself no matter what the world is telling you. But even so, they refuse to betray their character. These girls embody the true spirit of rock, both its ups and its downs, and it's through watching their struggles do you get some of the finest drama you can find all year. But ew, isn't this CG? Alright, get the fuck over here. No!
Don't hit me, man. I'm allowed to not like the way something looks. I don't like change. It's fine. I'm allowed. We fighting about it? It grew on me during the thing, but if you're gonna come out like this, I'm just saying. CG, I feel like in the anime industry is getting better. It is getting better. That is important. But you know, it is still kind of newish. Like, yes, more and more studios are starting to use it, but like it's still kind of newish. I also don't prefer CG in general as a thing. I just don't. I really wish Disney would go back to 2D animation. I understand why they're not going to. They're never going to, but I would prefer that. It's just a preference.
Enough of your shit. I get that anime fans have a Pavlovian response anytime they see CG, but this is some of the best I've seen outside of Studio Orange. There's not a single moment where something interesting isn't happening.
Some of it. So part of it is like some of it is a little too uncanny valley. Like,
this is some of the best I've seen.
That. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, this is... Hello?
Cheer 100 looks all right to me.
Just saying, like this. Like, when they kind of do the blobby kind of whatever. Like, thank you for the bits, Rooster. I feel like, visually, we are so used to that in, like, 2D animation that now it's like in this CGI 3D-ish kind of, and it just looks kind of odd. And to me, upsetting. I don't know.
Seen outside.
Also, it doesn't look like her clothes are on her. Like, these things don't look like they exist in the same space. She doesn't look like she exists in the same space as the background. Her clothes don't look like they exist in the same space as her face. Like, I don't know. This is just me personally. This is just issues I have. I have similar issues with, like, some, like, VTubing kind of stuff, too.
Of Studio Orange, there's not a single moment where something interesting isn't happening in frame. Every movement adds so much character, micro expressions that perfectly emphasize emotions, and concert scenes that bring the fucking hype to the fantastic music. Speaking of which, ooh, the piano. That piano.
Heyo!
Girls Band Cry takes it back to basics. Great writing,
Heyo!
great characters, great banter.
That was amazing.
And devious piano keys that bring joy upon my ears.
So it feels almost too smooth. I guess kind of reminds me of Miraculous Ladybug. Except Miraculous Ladybug doesn't mix media, if that makes sense. Everything in the world kind of like matches, if that makes sense. It was all like rendered together or whatever. I don't know. In the same way. So like the background of Miraculous Ladybug is made the same way they make the characters. So it doesn't feel like they don't match because they do match. Like, yeah, like I'm used to Miraculous Ladybug. It's fine. It took me a second to kind of get used to it, but like I was like, it's whatever. But everything in the world looks like it all exists in the world and interacts together, etc., etc. This one has like some mixed media in it, which can be done really well. I mean, we've seen like the Spider-Verse movies, like that has mixed media. It flows really well. You don't even necessarily notice it, right? Just in this, it causes the characters to pop and it makes it feel like that is not the plane of existence. Like they are on a different plane of existence, if that's just how it feels like to me visually. I don't know. I'm going to have to at least go and listen to the freaking music from this show.
And this,
I would argue it is not like an episode of Gumball because a lot of things in Gumball are different. That's part of the thing of Gumball is that there are so many different media mixed together in different ways. and they're all like kind of more mostly like character based or whatever, and it works in a different way, if that makes sense. Where this one, it's just like the characters themselves don't seem like they exist on the same plane as like the area around them, the room around them, the space around them, etc. I don't know. It's just a pet peeve of mine. It's not even really a pet peeve. It's just an issue I have visually with certain like techniques that are used. It's just, I don't know, preference thing. I don't know.
Day and age, we've seen it all. Thrillers, gangster stories, pirates, ninjas, knights. It's so rare to see a concept that hasn't been done before. A story yet to be told. And Orb on the Movements of the Earth was all of that, and so much more. In a time when faith was the dominating school of thought, when studying science was the Asian parent equivalent of finding out your kid wants to go to art school, what if you had to prove to everyone that the Earth isn't the center of everything, but we're actually a rock flying thousands of miles per hour through the vastness of space, held down by this invisible force you can't touch, see, or smell. Oh, you think you can do that? I bet you still secretly give Pluto the planet pass when no one's around, you lying prick. Orb isn't just the story of heliocentrism. It's a captivating tale showing how one simple idea...
Listen, there was a whole generation that felt personally offended when you took Pluto away.
Idea can change the course of so many lives. An idea that just won't die no matter how many times you try to extinguish it. It passes from person to person, generation to generation. This story is a testament to the lengths people will go in the pursuit of truth, in the face of adversity, in the face of unimaginable pain. Nothing can cage humanity's desire to look at the universe and go, I understand it now. If Dr. Stone made scientists look cool, this is a full-on celebration of the scientific method. Because when the universe looks down at us and says, I will never reveal my secrets to you, humanity looks up and replies, fuck you, we're gonna try anyway. This is both the brutal reality and true beauty that comes in that pursuit of knowledge. How many people laid the groundwork of research and died just before a massive breakthrough? Are the real heroes of science the ones who come up with the correct idea?
We have abandoned trying to figure out everything that's in the ocean. We have turned to the stars. Fuck the ocean's creepy. Stars it is.
Or the ones who suffer the heartbreak of realizing they've dedicated their life work researching down the wrong path and yet still accept it, knowing that the next person will now know what not to do. It's the legacy of all these unsung heroes of science that Orb wants you to think about. This isn't about a life, but the lives of the people that give us the understanding of the world we have today. It never stops reminding us that through every great individual, every achievement, every giant leap humanity takes stands on the back of the work of the people that came before them. No matter what kind of old-fashioned archaic thinking that existed back then that could halt the progress of humanity.
誰もが簡単に文字を使えたら、ゴミのような情報で溢れ返ってしまう。
Wait, hold on a second, this guy...
Listen, I'm not necessarily here for the false information. I am here for the smut that I find on Archive of Our Own. So mind your business, okay? Mind your business. What I do in my personal time is my own motherfucking business and none of yours. Mind it.
I might be onto something.
We gave up on the stars and started arguing about flat earth and vaccines again. I would argue that we haven't gave up on the stars. Just certain governmental agencies start having to use private companies for things. There's still a lot of like the James Webb's telescope. There's a bunch of telescopes and like satellites and stuff that are still doing stuff and discovering things out in the universe. Sometimes I get that was one of the TikTok videos that I would watch a lot. Is there's this girl that would be like, this is what this satellite found today, and it was interesting. It's fine.
It really felt like anime rediscovered its love for pure fantasy shows this year, with Frieren leading the charge with a tale that spoke straight to our souls. We laughed, we cried, and the community replied, damn, that's deep. While all this is going on,
thing. What is? Oh my god!
Another show was cooking with a different approach. It had elves, it had dragons, it had dungeons, but looked at all these monsters and went,
Feast mode activated. Hashtag hungry. FeedMeMore.com.
Dungeon Meshi satiated all our appetites by giving us a different kind of fantasy show, and when I saw this I thought, wow, finally, an anime where people just want to eat monsters and not want to fuck them. It presents itself as a low-stakes, comfy cooking show, then hits you with an attention to detail in its world building that most fantasy anime could only dream of. From the biology to the concepts, it takes these well-known creatures and reimagines them in a way to give them a sense of credibility that makes you forget that you're watching a fictional story and not some nature documentary. It'll introduce you to these treasure bugs, insects shaped like coins and jewelry that target unsuspecting prey, and you're like, ah, okay, that's kind of like real-life bugs that can perfectly camouflage themselves in nature. 2 episodes later, we see our first mimic, and if you're familiar with fantasy, mimics are some of the most well-known monsters responsible for many of your in-game deaths, I'm sure. But here, Dungeon Meshi gives them that believability by imagining them as some giant hermit crabs that gravitate towards chests as their home. Makes sense. But then, seemingly on a totally unrelated note, a treasure bug is found near it. Then one of the characters casually mentions, oh yeah, that's because the treasure bugs lay their eggs on the mimics so the larvae feed on them and they mature in there. And then it clicks. Oh, that's why these treasure bugs conveniently find their way into chests, perfectly placed for some unsuspecting adventurers to find. And this was the exact point. My mind fully comprehended the exact scope of this world building. These aren't just random monsters scattered around. This is an ecosystem where every single thing is interconnected. There is no part that exists solely in a bubble. Every piece of this world has been carefully crafted and interwoven with a level of care that's rare to see anywhere. And you're telling me this level of craftsmanship is being used in a make-believe comfy cooking show? This is the moment when you fall into its trap. Oh! Oh! God fucking damn it.
They want to eat them, not fuck them. Hey, you can use the word eat in multiple different ways. I don't know if you know that. But, like, you can.
When Dungeon Meshi shows its true hand, you realize the food was simply a vehicle to prep you for what the dungeon really is.
Y'all kind of get mad at me again. I read a lot of Dungeon Meshi. And then a while ago. I didn't finish it, but I read a decent amount of it. I read past the part that they just showed. The anime, I feel like the food part of it really kind of drags on. And maybe I just feel that way because I knew what was coming up. Like, I knew what we were getting to. I knew what was going to happen. But it really felt like it kind of dragged to me, you know? Maybe I'm just being, like, first of all, I'm pessimistic anyway. Maybe I'm just being too hard on stuff. But again, I read more than I watch because I feel like watching takes more time than me reading something. I don't know. But, like, that's how I felt about it personally.
This is a brutal environment we are nowhere near close to understanding or taming. This is not your comfy fantasy world. This is a Made in Abyss style Lovecraftian nightmare. A world that runs on its own set of rules beyond human comprehension that we have only just taken a single step into. Yet even through this turn, the series never loses its heart. The lovable leads always remain true to themselves. Marcial is still playing Elden Ring. Senshi is playing Cooking Mama. Chilchuck is playing Slay the Spire. Izutsumi just brought Stray. Everyone else is trapped in Darkest Dungeon. Meanwhile, Laios is in the corner going,
FeedMeMore.com.
Dungeon Meshi invites you to have a taster of this living, breathing world, and you forget for a moment that none of it's actually real. It'll lull you into its cozy vibe and smack you round the head when you get too comfortable, and by the end of it, sits you down to enjoy another delectable meal while you reflect on the journey. In summary,
Good soup.
maybe you've been watching anime for 1 year, maybe you've been watching it for 5 years, maybe even 10, but I'm sure you remember that feeling of watching those first 10 shows. That excitement of discovering this whole new medium where everything felt fresh. It was a place that operated on its own set of rules.
My only issue with Dandadan, that was a place to stop. My only issue with Dandadan is it like the first, second episode something? When she first gets abducted by the aliens, that stressed me out a lot. And like that also makes me feel like, can I suggest this to like my sister because that kind of happened. And that's kind of, you know, it's one of those things of like, maybe I can't suggest this to everybody. And it's also a scene that you forget happens because you're so used to shit like that happening. Like, you are so used to shit like that happening in like anime, and all this other shit happens later in the story. That's just like, that is like the worst part of that kind of thing. So you're just like, you forget about it, right? Like, you move on and you forget about it. And I just, I don't know. It's my only issue with it. It really stressed me out. I was very, very, very concerned. I was like, if that happens to her, I'm not watching the show. And like, like, I can't deal with that. No, thank you. I don't. It was fine. I do really like this show. I do agree. Yes, it is like a very, very good show. But I just kind of wish that one scene wasn't in there. I can't even, like, it's not even that the one scene wasn't in there. It was that it wasn't as stressful. I don't know. Worrisome? Something. I don't know.
Bring this whole new medium where everything felt fresh. It was a place that
also, I love
operated on
Grandma.
its own set of rules, not bound by the ideas you were used to. There was a weirdness to it you couldn't find anywhere else, and every new episode you watched, something unpredictable lay just around the corner. I've been watching anime for 20 years, and Dandadan took me back to those times. Shonen Jump is a place where its formula for success has been repeated over generations, so when a new title gets adapted, we normally know what the rules are. And Dandadan starts by taking that rulebook and setting it on fire. At first you think, okay, it's another battle shonen. Then you realize, hold on, it's actually a rom-com. No, sci-fi. Wait, it's a supernatural. Maybe, actually, it's even a horror. You go through this entire notion before it even occurs to you that 90% of this show revolves around some dude getting his balls back. This is what happens when you throw everything against the wall and say, fuck it, we ball. You could be the strongest observation haki user and still be unable to predict what happens next. When you expect it to go forwards, it goes sideways. When you say jump, it asks, It exudes this childish freedom of expression you forget how to do as an adult, and the most incredible thing is that somehow, someway, it is able to take all this chaos and keep everything cohesive. This is a show that can make you laugh, make you cry, make you hype, leave you in absolute awe in some of its most beautiful moments, all while staying true to its own special brand of weirdness.
And also, it is 100% that show that does, hey, we're gonna make them naked and or just in underwear or whatever. That is just I don't know. It happens a lot in the show, I feel. Maybe not a lot, but two nickels joke, Like, I don't know.
Sanitized, safe, risk-free world of modern entertainment, watching this reminded me of the childish excitement I should feel when watching a new anime. And the only thing holding this from the top spot is that we've barely taken a step off the starting line.
I am looking forward to more Dandadan. Again, I have been terrible and I have not watched that last episode. Yeah, does anyone else do this thing sometimes where they're like, if I just don't watch the last episode, it's not over? Maybe that's my issue. If I don't watch the last episode, it is not over for me. I do need to watch it though. I wonder how long it's gonna take for them to come out with a new season for it. Probably forever.
If I'm being super honest, I don't even like drawing manga. It's a pain in the butt.
Then why do you draw, Fujino?
If you would, for a second, indulge me on this anecdote I think about a lot. It's 3 AM in the year 1988. An audio engineer in Hawaii is picking up after a late night of work when his phone rings. On the other end was a local musician who asked if he could come in and record something. Of course, the engineer told him that he was closing and they could easily come in the next day, but the guy pleaded to let him record this idea he desperately wanted to see through. 15 minutes later, that person came in. He played one song, one take, and it was over. For years, that recording would lay dormant, only to actually be released 5 years later. That guy was Israel Kamakawiwo'ole, and that recording was his now world-famous rendition of Somewhere Over the Rainbow. This story has always stuck with me. For anyone who's ever created something, sometimes you have that project, that idea that hits you when inspiration strikes and refuses to leave. You'll think about it when you're taking a shower, when you're having lunch, when you're working on anything else. Like a parasite, it festers in your mind waiting for you to materialize it. And you know you have to see it through. Not for money, not for clout, not for any sense of personal responsibility, but because you just need to. On every single level. That is the exact feeling I get when watching Look Back. A need to make, a need to create. Look Back was many things. It's a love letter to the creative process. It's an exploration to why people make art. It's a homage to some of the most tragic events that have happened in the industry, but more than that, there is this overwhelming sense of an author coming to terms with his own personal struggles, speaking directly through these characters that he's created. Coming from the mind that gave us Fire Punch and Chainsaw Man, this was a shockingly simple, soulful tale of two artists and their journey of creating for each other, creating for money, creating for pride, creating for themselves. This is a film that encapsulates the entire spectrum of emotions for anyone who's ever made anything, in a way only.
That's why, because it is a film. It is a movie. That's probably why you have not heard of it. I feel like animated movies slip under the radar a lot. Like a lot. Like if it doesn't get hit by, like if it doesn't get picked up by social media, or the algorithm of your specific social media where the people that you follow or look or at or watch or whatever aren't talking about it, then you probably end up missing it. That has happened to me so often. And also, like, sometimes it's hard to find movies, if that makes sense, I feel. I don't know. That's just me. Like, a lot of times, OVAs and movies slip under the radar.
Someone who's felt the depths of those feelings could portray. That excitement of finishing your first work, the struggle of knowing you can do better, that deep insecurity that you're just inadequate, the euphoric explosion of having your work recognized, the emptiness you feel when you've forgotten why you started this journey in the first place, and that moment when you doubt it all and ask, was it all worth it? In 1 hour, this film packs more emotional depth than most anime can fit in an entire season through simple, beautiful storytelling. It felt like a story that was made simply because someone needed to put it all out there. It's jam-packed full of the rawest human emotions, like you're watching somebody scream from their soul. Lines that feel so intimate, you're unsure if you're watching two characters talk to each other or a person having a conversation with them.
I should specify when I say that I think a lot of anime movies slip under the radar. I don't mean in Japan. Like there is you cannot look at anime as something that is Western centric. That's not how Japan works. That's not how the anime industry works. This might have released in movie theaters in Japan and it might have done well. I don't know. I'm not tracking that kind of thing, to be honest. But I mean, like, in the US, I feel a lot of animated movies slip under the radar and they're harder to find. So that is, I don't mean like in general worldwide. I mean, where I am, my experience is they slip under the radar. OVAs as well. Especially standalone OVAs that are not connected to a TV show, to another anime. But then also sometimes OVAs that are connected to other anime also slip under the radar. It's just a thing. I don't know. But that's what I mean. I mean, it might have been advertised very strongly in Japan. A lot of things that are advertised in Japan, we don't get advertisement here in America. So that's kind of, yeah.
themselves. This is the kind of personal story that's so rare to experience, and when I see someone laying themselves bare, it's hard for me not to be deeply moved. I've experienced this story 3 times now, and every time has given me something different. I read the manga and cried at the pure beauty of the storytelling and emotions on display. I watched this in theaters and cried experiencing this story again so perfectly brought to life.
Okay, so yeah, it was definitely in theaters in Japan.
I put this on when it got its home release and cried, feeling such profound connection to what the creators must have felt when making this. And after every single time, without fail, it gave me a reminder of why the hell I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'm sure some of you may think that putting a movie as my #1 anime this year feels like a cop-out, and yeah, it kind of is. I often try to make it a point to keep anime films and series separate. I've never put a movie in any of these rankings before, but no matter how much I reflected, no matter what other shows I put here, nothing else felt right. It had to be Look Back. Not because I wanted to give it exposure, not because of some review score, not because of any arbitrary qualifications. I put it here because, simply, I just needed to.
Hey. That movie would crush me. As someone who is a pessimist, who does not, like, deal with stress well, I guess. There's definitely times, it happens like at least once a year, where I definitely sit and I'm like, I should quit. Like, I'm not good. I'm not the person for this, or I'm not doing a good job, or like, someone could do better. Why am I doing this? Whatever. Like, that happens at least once a year. At least that movie would crush me. I also feel like that is not horrendously abnormal either. I feel like probably a lot of people feel that way. Yeah, imposter syndrome. Yeah, I guess so. A lot of mine just has to do with like my absolute negativity that I am as a person. Like, I am just a pessimist. I don't know, man. I look at everything negatively. I put more negativity on myself than I really should. That's just kind of my issues. But like, there is kind of like, why did I start this? Why am I part of this? Why did I do this? Why this? And then, sometimes you just step back and you look at it and you're like, oh no, the community though. Like, for other people. It's just, or like, just for the love of doing it, Sometimes you gotta step back and look at that. That movie would crush my ass. It would take me out to dry. It would curb stomp me, spit on me, and keep walking. Like, I just like, dang. I can't even explain. Like, dang. It just I'm sure it is a extremely moving movie. I'm sure it is in its purest form art. And it is creating the emotions that I mentioned earlier. But like, oh God, it would rip me apart. It would rip my soul out of my chest. Huh. It probably deserves that #1 spot. 100%.